Hey guys, it's Ariel, and today we're going to be doing another book video. So today we're going to be doing the whole Steph, I never know how to say her last name, so I'm sorry if I just murder this right now, but Steph Bohrer, I want to say that's it. It's her book tag, and I'm sorry if my dog is being dramatic in the back. Also, I'm sorry, no, I didn't make my bed. We're all human here, it's okay. But it's basically a tag that she created, and I saw that she did it. I watched the video, and I saw that other people were doing it, so I really wanted to do it. It just sounds really fun. So let's go ahead and get started. What book do you tell people is your fave? So this is basically the book that I tell people is my favorite. Doesn't necessarily have to be my favorite, but in this case it actually is my favorite. And that is It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. This is my favorite book. As you can see, I've reread this book a million times. So this book actually qualifies for the other question, which is what book have you reread the most? And I've reread this about 4 or 5 times, I think. I always suggest people read this because it's a very, very, very good story. It's a very sad story, but it basically started my journey of reading, and if it wasn't for this book I probably wouldn't be into reading as much as I am. Basically about Lily and her story going through an abusive relationship. And the one thing that really got me with this book is it really made you fall in love with the main character, and I've never really had a book do that. Usually when you fall in love with a character, you don't expect them to turn out so horrible. So it basically caught me off guard the way Lily would have been caught off guard. So that's the first time a book has ever done that to me, so that's why I recommend it so much. Next question is, what book is your guilty pleasure? So I actually have a whole series for this. My guilty pleasure is definitely the Off-Campus series. Now, I've only read the first 3 books. Don't ask me why, because I really do like these books. But I'd say these are my guilty pleasure just because they're so typical teen college guy who's obsessed with sexual things, and they're basically mean to everybody else besides the girl they fall in love with. I just love that trope. I think it's super cute. I think it's just a really fun read. I think the guys in this are really funny, and I love the dynamic between everybody. I love that everybody's in each other's books, and I just think it's a really fun read. So this would probably be my guilty pleasure. Next is, what book did everybody love but you didn't? And that is People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. So very, very, very unpopular opinion. I really don't like Emily Henry. I just don't think she's anything special. Every time I do read her books, and I do buy her books just because I do enjoy them, but I honestly think Colleen Hoover is better than Emily Henry just because she really makes me feel things, and every time I read an Emily Henry book, it just doesn't pull me in like Colleen Hoover does. I know not many people compare them, but those are 2 very popular authors that a lot of people either hate or love. And I don't hate her because I still read her books and I still enjoy her stories, but I don't think it deserves as much hype as it gets just because I tend to get bored with her stories and they don't really suck me in as much as Colleen Hoover would. What book did you read the fastest? So I want to say the book I read the fastest is probably Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. This came out during the summertime. I read it in the summertime. Usually I read a lot faster in the summer. Don't ask me why. I read a lot more in the summer instead of the winter, but I fell in love with this book. The ending was not my favorite. Kind of ruined it a little bit for me, but I still really love this book. Definitely one of my 5 stars. I just picked this up and could not put it down. It definitely sucked me into the whole story, so that's probably why I read it the fastest. What book deserves more hype? The book I think deserves more hype, because I see no one talk about this book, is Sadie by Courtney Summers. This was one of the first books I read my sophomore year of high school. It's been a long time since I read this book, but I just remember being so lost in this story. I listened to the audiobook with this book, which I usually do. As you guys know, I listen to the audiobook as I read. But this is basically about Sadie and a radio personality named Wes McCrae. And Sadie's little sister was murdered, and Sadie flees her home. And it's been so long since I read this, but I'm pretty sure she's like looking for her sister's murderer to kind of like get revenge, and this reporter is kind of following her. So Sadie is one step closer while he's one step back, and it's just so cool the way it switches in and out from the radio into Sadie's like thoughts. I highly recommend this. It was a really, really good read. Next is a book you love that became a movie or TV show. And I have to say, this summer I turned Pretty series. Now, I did not read these books until after the show came out, but I fell in love with the show so fast. Like, I'm so excited to watch the other seasons that I had to read these books. Just a very feel-good, like, teen love story between these two boys who are her best friends. And it's like a love triangle thing, and love triangles are so good, I think. I think they're so good. But yeah, this is definitely one that I can say I liked the TV show more than the books, just because the books didn't give me the same feeling that the TV show did, but I definitely had to read these along with the TV show because, man, if you haven't watched the Summer I Turned Pretty series, go watch it right now. And then it says a book from a genre you don't typically read. And I couldn't really find anything because I feel like I don't really go out of my comfort zone that much. It's either like mystery or love stories. I put All Your Twisted Secrets by Diana Urban just because this is a very like mysterious book, and I read more romance than mystery. But guys, this was so good. This is basically about, it basically says look, I literally wrote a whole like map because it's all these multiple characters and they all connect in some way. You'll see what I mean. It says, what do the Queen Bee, star athlete, valedictorian, stoner, loner, and music geek all have in common? They were all invited to a scholarship dinner only to discover it's a trap. Someone has locked them into a room with a bomb, a syringe filled with poison, and a note saying they have an hour to pick someone to die, or else everyone dies. So basically, it gets into a lot of drama between all of these different characters, and there's romance, there's ex-best friend ship, which isn't a word, but it's okay. It's just so interesting, and the ending is so good. The plot twist, I was on my toes the whole time. Highly recommend it. Next is a book that deserves all the hype it gets, and I think that is Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. Definitely one of my faves. Definitely deserves the hype it gets. This relationship just made you feel all the feels, and if you like romance books and you haven't read this book, I don't know what you're doing, because I would have started with this book because it's just so good. I can't take it. The little details that they do for each other, it's so good. And then next is the book you recommend the most. Now I want to say 4 books right here. So I tend to recommend these 4 when somebody asks me, like, hey, I know you're a reader, like, what are some books that I should start reading? And I think these are just very good, very solid reads. First, I usually recommend You Deserve Each Other by Sarah Hogle. It's basically about this couple, and they're trying to decide if they want to stay together or not, and it's kind of like a relationship where they've been together for so long, they kind of fall out of love, and then they fall back into love. And I think this was just so funny and so realistic, and I couldn't but put it down. Next is Archer's Voice. Absolutely obsessed with this book. Archer is one of my favorite book boyfriends, and he'll definitely make you feel just warm inside. Next is Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating by Christina Lauren. This is a very old book, but I love this book just because it's best friends to lovers, my favorite trope ever, and I just love seeing best friends to lovers and then try to fight through the feelings they have and try to deny that they have feelings for each other. It's just very cute and very funny, and they have a great connection, and I just had a lot of fun reading about it. The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid, another book that I absolutely adored. Just getting to read about Evelyn's life, this very like Marilyn Monroe-esque girl, and I want to say it's the 1940s, but don't quote me on that. Just a really good read. Very sad read, but also very entertaining. And then, what book has your fave characters? I'd probably say Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter, just because the main girl is literally me. Like, I've never read somebody that is just like me before. I'm obsessed with couples, obsessed with rom-coms, obsessed with movies, TV shows, YouTube couples, all that. I'm just obsessed with love, 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 and she loves love. And every single thing that she said in here I basically highlighted because I've definitely either said that in real life or thought it in real life. Next is, what book do you wish you could live in? And I'd probably say The Summer I Turned Pretty trilogy, again, just because I would love to hang out at a beach house every summer. That would be great. And to have like a found family that isn't actually my family. It's so good. And especially, I cannot think of her name, but her, like, the mom of the brothers. Oh my gosh, I would just love to have somebody like that in my life that wasn't forced to be my life. Like, my mom's forced to be in my life, so of course she's gonna be like that. But I don't know, I would just love to have her in my life. A book you thought you would hate but you ended up loving. So The Kiss Quotient by Helen Hoang. I definitely thought I was gonna hate it. Did not. I was obsessed with this book. It definitely, it reeled me in. It definitely did. This dude. This book made me feel things that I didn't think a book, pages, words on paper, ink would make me feel, and that's all I'm going to say about that. Next is a book that made you cry, and this is actually a recent read. So if you guys have watched my videos, I don't usually cry at books, and this book I teared up at, and that is If He Had Been With Me by Laura Nolan. I literally just read this book like a month or two ago. So sad. Like, you know what happens, but it just hits you really hard. It, like I said in my last video, it takes your heart and it's just shatters it on the floor, and you're not ready for it. Like, you already know it's gonna happen, but you're just not ready for that. And this book definitely made you feel some things. And lastly, what book do you wish you could read again for the first time? And basically any Colleen Hoover book. Colleen Hoover, just her plot twists, and I get so invested in the characters. So I pulled out Hopeless, Ugly Love, All Your Perfects, Regretting You, Needs More Hype. So good. Maybe Someday, Reminders of Him, and November 9. If you like Colleen Hoover and you like the way she writes, because I know a lot of people don't, just read all of her books. You will not regret it. But that is all I have for today. I hope you guys enjoyed my video. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit the bell to get notified every time I post. And go ahead and make a video for yourself of this tag, because I love Steph Bohrer, one of my favorite booktubers ever, so I highly suggest doing this tag if you would like to. But yeah, I hope you guys liked it. I'll see you guys later. Bye, love.